Hi Freeport students, my name is David Brown and I'm a 2003 graduate of Freeport High School. Today I work as a data scientist and an analytical consultant for PNC Bank. That's a bit of a mouthful, but the general idea is that I use mathematics, computers, and lots of data to help my company make better decisions. Today I work in banking, but data scientists are found everywhere. Anywhere there's data available and a desire to better serve customers, data scientists can be found. You're probably aware at this point, but anytime you interact with a device that's connected to the internet, you're creating a data stream. If you log into social media, that creates data. If you make a purchase with a debit card, that creates data. Even when you go to the doctor, the details of that visit are likely being stored. And you don't even have to be actively doing anything to create data. Things like smartphones, Fitbits, home assistants, even smart thermostats are constantly recording and storing data. The sheer volume of it all is actually getting quite staggering, and it's only going to get bigger as 5G rolls out. At that point, every device is going to be connected to the internet, and the data stream is only going to get larger and larger. All of that raw data by itself isn't useful. It's actually nonsensical. It's just a collection of zeros and ones stored on a hard drive. So that's where a data scientist comes into play. The general idea is that I write computer code to tell computers how to sift through the data and find the insights that can be valuable to the company. And when things are going really well, I can actually make predictions about things that might happen. I realize that might be a bit hard to get your head around, so let me give you a simple example. Anytime the bank interacts with a customer, whether they come into the branch or call us on the phone, we're usually going to try to make a sale. But we have lots of different products that we can sell to customers, so we have to choose which one we want to try to make the pitch on. For example, we could try to sell them a credit card, or maybe we could try to sell them a home equity loan. But we want to pick the one that they're most likely to buy. And that's where it's really useful to know something about that customer by looking at their data. So you can imagine if the customer doesn't even own a home, we're not going to try to make a home equity sale. If they already have a credit card, we're not going to try to sell them another. And if they're struggling to pay their bills, we're not going to offer them some elaborate savings tool. This is a win-win for everybody. We don't waste resources making sales that they're not going to accept, and the customer gets the product that's right for them. Like I said, this is a simple example, but that's the general idea. Everything comes back to using computers and math and data to describe things that have already happened and make predictions about the future to help the company run better. I said I'm also a consultant, and the consulting part of my job is what happens after I do the technical work. You see, I don't actually produce anything tangible for the bank. I don't interact with customers or write code for the website or anything like that. What I do produce is opinions that leaders can hear so that they can make better decisions. So how this typically works is I'll work for a month or two on the technical part of the project, and at the end of that, I'll get 20 to 30 minutes with one of our leaders where I deliver my opinion, and usually in the form of a PowerPoint presentation. In these presentations, I need to be an excellent storyteller. I need to take that large body of work and distill it down into something that a leader can understand in a short period of time. If my opinion isn't heard because I'm not clear and concise and nobody understands what I'm saying, then I actually didn't really bring value for my company. I won't sugarcoat it. These meetings can get tense. Our leaders are very busy people. You don't get second chances and you absolutely can't waste their time. Also, there's occasionally people in the room who don't appreciate what you're saying because you might be saying that their project isn't actually working out very well for the bank. I have to be able to think well on my feet in these situations and be able to respond to questions and criticisms in the moment. It can be stressful, but it's really part of the job and how I bring value. I hope that gives you a good idea of the job description. In terms of the environment, this is your typical office job. I'm in front of a computer or on the phone all day long. I generally work about Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. Sometimes the hours are a little bit longer if I have a big project, or sometimes they're a little bit shorter if I'm ahead of the game. No one really worries that much about my hours, just as long as I'm putting out a good body of work. Since COVID started, I've been working from home full time, but even before that, I worked from home about half of the week. PNC is a huge organization, and I have business partners from all over the country, so it really doesn't matter that much where I sit. Just as long as I have access to a phone and a computer, I can do my job well. Now that you know a little about the job, I should give you some details on my educational background. After leaving Freeport, I went to Lehigh University, where I received a Bachelor's of Science in Biomedical Engineering. Then I entered the workforce for about 10 years, but realized I needed some more education. So I went back to school and got my Master's in Applied Statistics from Penn State. Honestly, I was lucky to get by as long as I did without a master's degree. Virtually everybody in this field has one, and quite a few have PhDs. The fields vary. Some people have mathematics, some applied science, some computer science, some engineering, but they're all math intensive because that's required for this field. I didn't really choose data science. I more or less fell into it. When I was first starting out, data scientist wasn't even a career because the data wasn't really out there. It wasn't being stored at the rate it is today. My first job out of science was a more traditional engineering role in biotech, and I was really happy there. That was my chosen field. It was why I chose biomedical engineering in the first place. But I realized the data science was starting to take off as a field, and I realized that I had a good foundation to go into it. So I took a chance. I left engineering, I left biotech, and entered PNC Bank, where I've grown as a data scientist, and it's really been a good decision for me ever since. If this is a career that's interests you, it's going to be a math-intensive route. Like I said, there's different majors that can get you to this career, but they're all going to require heavy math. So if you want to prepare for that in high school, I recommend taking as much math as possible to get a foundation, things like algebra, trig, calculus, and I understand the Freeport now is a statistics course. Statistics is probably the most important form of mathematics you need to know for this career, so absolutely jump on that if you can. The other thing that you should think about now is computer programming. Now, the language itself doesn't really matter, but I recommend taking a look at a language called Python. It's simple, it's easy to use, and it's something that's really popular with engineering and scientists throughout the world. So you can take the opportunity to learn that. Now, if you can't do that formally at Freeport, there's tons of places online where you can learn how to code, and I highly recommend looking into it. The third thing you should do is focus on public speaking. Like I said, storytelling is really important, communicating is really important, and the only way is to get practice at that. So take every opportunity you have out there to get in front of people and speak. One interesting thing about this job is the appreciation it gives you for digital privacy. I have access to huge volumes of data on our customers, so that comes with a lot of responsibility, both legally and ethically. If this data were to fall into the wrong hands, people could use it for things like identity theft, and even in my responsible hands, some people might be uncomfortable with the amount of information that I have on them. This is something that's going to be important for everybody going forward, not just people in this field. The idea of digital privacy is getting bigger and bigger as these companies like Facebook, Google, Amazon acquire more and more power. The concept of digital privacy is more important. So this is going to be something that's very important going forward. And it's nice that I've been part of the industry that I can get an idea of what that might look like. So that's about all for me. But before I go, I'd like to leave you with a little bit of advice. And it might sound a bit strange coming on Career Day, but I'd advise you not to focus on any specific career or job description. Simply the world moves too fast for that. When I was in high school, the job of data scientist did not exist. Neither did smartphones, neither did social media. Amazon only sold books, and Google was just one of many search options. So instead of focusing on careers, which can change rather quickly, I recommend you focus on skills. Things like thinking analytically, solving problems, communicating well. These are skills that are always going to be marketable. So the key is to find skills that you're good at, you enjoy, and people are willing to pay money for. And if you focus on that, you'll always have a good job opportunity for you. The other part of this is being flexible and be willing to adapt and make changes. I'm about 15 years into my career and I still have another 25 to go. There's no way I can continue to do this exact same job, so I have to continue to learn and be willing to take risks and continue to change as my career evolves. Thank you again for inviting me to your career day. I wish I could have been there in person. I also wish you nothing but the best of luck in all your future pursuits. If you'd like to get in contact with me, please let your guidance counselor know. She has all my information. And I know COVID has made things rough, but I ask that you try to enjoy your time in Freeport. I look back on it with fond memories, and I think you will too.